gold thing in a second, but John, if we go back to what Stan Druckenmiller was saying, he kind of, again, this was not like a big, bold, bullish call he was making on Bitcoin. He just kind of said, look, I recognize it has staying power. And he said, I also recognize a lot of the new money out west, for instance, will go into Bitcoin. I mean, how much do you think that is what is driving the latest leg up here? And how much is it the fact that now with PayPal and some of these other Square that you can more easily
Despite the fact that institutions, hedge funds, family offices are buying Bitcoin by the billions each and every week, and billionaires like Bill Miller, Paul Tudor Jones, and Stanley Druckenmiller have all come out and have given reasons why they believe Bitcoin is the future and here to stay, we still have people that simply does not believe. Today, I want to show you Jon Fortt, a CNBC analyst who, as you just saw, can't believe what he is witnessing. Clearly, with his body language, he does not believe in Bitcoin at all and finds the current price level unbelievable. So take a listen to the entire rapid fire clip from CNBC and then let's discuss further.
Here to break down the headlines are Michael Santoli, Seema Modi, and Jon Fortt. And it's great to have everybody here. And we are going to start with Bitcoin, which after a horrible Thanksgiving reversed to a record high today. It shook off that big sell-off last week. Thought we'd be talking about that, but no. Then today it just soared. Look at the price now, 19,200. It topped 19,640, which is according to CNBC, its previous high watermark. Seema spoke with Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss, the co-founders of the crypto exchange Gemini, about the boom earlier today. Here's what Tyler said about how high it could go.
Our thesis is that Bitcoin is gold 2.0, that it will disrupt gold. And if it does that, it has to have a market cap of 9 trillion. So we think that prices Bitcoin it could price one day at $500,000 a Bitcoin. So at $18,000 Bitcoin, it's a hold, or at least if you don't have any, it's a buy opportunity because we think there's a 25x from here.
Seema, here is my question I've been pondering all morning. So you got to enlighten me. Okay. I get that people say there's only 21 million Bitcoin and all the institutions are going to pile in now and there's going to be demand from everywhere and a fixed supply. But what about, tell me what's been going on with all the other cryptos, like the Ripples and Ethereum. And has everybody else got a fixed supply? Because like, why couldn't you and I start Seema Coin and Kelly Coin and we'd be like, all right, there's only going to be 200 ever, and everyone else can start piling in. And why can't we have 1 million of these things? And at some point, will they become competitors to Bitcoin and maybe, upset that supply-demand apple cart somewhat?
I think we can. We can do this right after rapid fire, create that coin. But here's the thing, there's still a level of recognition that Bitcoin holds over the other cryptocurrencies and digital coins out there that has given it sort of a lead amidst all the others. And I think, Tyler and Cameron, they have been overtly bullish, painting this narrative for quite some time. The only difference is here in 2020, they're being joined by a select group of hedge fund investor types, many of whom you've spoken to exclusively, Kelly, on your show, about them warming up to the prospects of Bitcoin. But context here is these two individuals, after that $65 million lawsuit with settlement with Facebook, $11 million they put into Bitcoin back into 2013 reportedly. And since then, they've just ridden Bitcoin up. And now it's a big part of their personal net worth. So clearly, they have that very much invested interest in seeing this cryptocurrency continue to move higher.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask Mike about the gold thing in a second, but John, if we go back to what Stan Druckenmiller was saying, again, this was not like a big, bold, bullish call he was making on Bitcoin. He just kind of said, look, I recognize it has staying power. And he said, I also recognize a lot of the new money out west, for instance, will go into Bitcoin. I mean, how much do you think that is what is driving the latest leg up here? And how much is it the fact that now with PayPal and some of these other Square that you can more easily access it?
This is crazy, Kelly. I mean, you ask what's driving it. Toonce is the driving cat, I think, is driving it. So I'm not telling anybody to be long Bitcoin. I'm not telling anybody to be short it. It's just nobody can explain to me what makes it go up and down. You look at a 1-year chart of Bitcoin and think about what's been happening in the world. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why does it move the way it moves? So if you want to gamble, if you enjoy that, then go ahead. Everybody's got a theory. Somebody's got a theory it's going to double. The Winklevi think it's going to go up 25x. Sure, have fun, but unless you as an investor have a reason why you think this thing moves, be very careful.
So, Mike, let's talk about their analogy, which is actually the same reason why Bill Miller has been bullish on Bitcoin for years, because he said, look, if people start to treat it like gold and put just a fraction of their portfolios in it, that's a huge amount of wealth, whether it's 9 trillion or some other figure.
Sure.
The fact that Bitcoin's been up while gold's been down, would you link those two together? Say that people are piling in gold 2.0?
You know, you can't prove a negative. You can't prove it's not why, Bitcoin is going up relative to gold. What it does get to, though, in fact, everything we've said here gets to is assets don't need to exist in the world if they're not really attached to some kind of a cash flow. But sometimes they get to a point where people all collectively agree, hey, this is an asset. It's non-correlated. It has a role in my portfolio. And that goes for gold. What's fascinating about it is the premise of owning gold long term has always been, hey, it's been money for thousands of years. You smarter than people for the last 5,000 years? And now it's a totally opposite thing, which is something conjured in a bit of software code 12 years ago is suddenly going to take the place of something that's been money forever, and that's why it's money today. And so I think that we have to come back to this idea. This is Bill Thesis creep, by the way, because it's not about the ledger. It's not about it's going to disrupt every other kind of transaction in the world. It's just, hey, it's worth something because we've...
So despite the fact that John was shaking his head constantly at the beginning, when it became his turn to talk, he wanted to stipulate he's not bullish or bearish, which I have a hard time believing, and that he simply doesn't understand why the price keeps going up, why it has gone up this entire year. Well, clearly John is not paying attention or purposely ignoring what these billionaires like Jones, Miller, and Druckenmiller has said, and even what BlackRock said last week. They are buying Bitcoin because they see it as an alternative to gold and another way to hedge against uncertain economic forecast. And people like Paul Tudor Jones also believe Bitcoin is very much like the internet of the 90s. There's still so much untapped potential. And if none of those reasons are good enough, what it really boils down to is the price of Bitcoin is going up simply because there are more buyers than sellers. If nothing else explains it, that does. So Bitcoin as it stands now is back to 19,300 and it continues to hover for the time being. But with Grayscale and institutions ramping up their buying, it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin breaks 20,000. So, what are your thoughts about John and what are your thoughts about Bitcoin overall? Leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel for more crypto news.